I would like to take a moment before we get into today's main episode and to talk about my sponsor for the podcast. Podmatch is a new podcasting site dedicated to all podcasters. The platform helps hosts get connected with potential guests to appear on their show, as well as allow guests to find podcasts that will give them a chance to share their story. Podmatch offers many tools to help organize your page, from to-do lists to episode planning to potentially appearing on a leaderboard. Podmatch has it all. The best part, you have the potential to get paid. And who doesn't like to get paid from home? I like to. With an easy sign up, you can start connecting with podcasters and guests immediately. I have been a part of Podmatch since the beginning of May, and I have got to say that it was the best decision I've ever made because Podmatch helps your podcast grow. It helps you get connected with people that have very interesting, very compelling background stories that are just waiting for their story to be shared. So if you are a host or guest and would like to start building professional relationships, explore more opportunities, and have your story shared, I highly suggest that you sign up with Podmatch today by going to joinpodmatch.com/lethal venom to start expanding your network in seconds. I would like to give another huge thank you to Podmatch for sponsoring this episode. Now on to our main episode, and again, you can sign up at joinpodmatch.com/lethal venom to begin your podcasting journey today. Hello everyone, welcome to the Lethal Venom Podcast, the show where I talk about anything I want with the honest to God truth, no lies told. Today I'm joined by Mr. Cody Johnston. He is known as the Weird Canadian, which I don't know why you have that name because you don't come off me, but he has the message where he likes to go by where authenticity meets innovation. He helps small businesses implement enterprise grade solutions without enterprise budgets, drawing from 10 plus years of building systems for governments and for Fortune 500 companies. From million-dollar government platforms to billion-dollar banking systems, he's learned what works at scale and how to deliver those results for real-world budgets. Through his podcast and consulting work, he explores the intersection of technology, Canadian identity, and creative problem solving. He doesn't just talk about solutions; he builds them. He discusses turning bold ideas into reality, one weird conversation at a time. And his podcast is The Weird Canadian, where he does share these experiences on there. So he's here today to share actually some experiences he's dealt with and give some advice on my show as well. So, Cody, thank you so much for coming on today, and it's a pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
So, if you could share with my listeners just a little bit about yourself and some about your background about what you do.
Sure. So my name is Cody Johnston, aka the Weird Canadian. The reason I am the Weird Canadian is I've always felt like the outsider in Canada. Never really liking hockey, Tim Hortons, all of the generic like Canadian themed things that seem to appear across everything in terms of media and content. Um, and I always felt like I was more of a worldly being. And then as I grew, I fell deeply in love with Canadian culture, who we were as a people, and just giving my weird stories that come along with it. I am neurodivergent. I was just diagnosed as an adult. So basically, I took a look at my life and realized that everything I've done, everything I've strived to do, has always come from some weird idea I have or some weird concept that I just think of and I make it into reality. Which is kind of the headline. I think ideas into reality is my company. My company is also the podcast as well as a consulting firm for small and medium-sized businesses to help them cut through the clutter and the noise, building them systems that are personalized to their business and getting away from uh, the enterprise grade systems that we all know and that just don't fit our cookie cutter like lives. Everybody's got their own weird things. They've got their own business. It's time we start building applications that fit individuals, not the whole.
So, you've worked for a lot of big government projects and you've worked for also as well as on Fortune 500 companies. Um, what's been the major difference you've seen between government, the Fortune 500, as well as small business technology needs?
With government, they don't move fast, and they build in a way that justifies their policies. So to put that into to example, if I was to build an application for a company, typically you go to the user and you ask, how would you use this thing? What would you want out of it? How do you get the most use out of it? In government, it is very much the opposite. It is we go to business and say, what business requirements do you need? And then we take it to the users, and they're either have to use it or they don't use it. We don't consider the end user as a stakeholder in the application. When you get into Fortune 500 companies, you have more of the user-driven stakeholder value, but then you add on the legal complexities of big business, so international policies and permissions and practices that you have to abide by. So while they are more lean, they can build faster. They are still slowed down by government policies and paperwork and legalities that they have to jump through in order to get their systems online. Small business doesn't have to compete with that. Small business has the best opportunity right now because they can act on an instinct. They don't need anything to to continue them going because as far as governments and big businesses are concerned, they are not they don't need this umbrella of legalities that the big companies do when they're operating in multiple countries. On top of that, they have the ability to just say, this isn't working and shift gears altogether because we have the ability to have the whole of the company contributing to these ideas as well. When you have a smaller business, it is easier to succeed, it is easier to move fast, it is easier to move cheaply, and it is easier to fail fast. And I think that's the biggest takeaway I can give anybody. The speed at which you fail is going to determine how fast you succeed.
I think that is good advice because another thing for me is it depends on how much work you do put into it. Because if you don't put in work at all, you're not going to achieve their ultimate goal that you want to perceive and or attain. And it does take a lot of hard work to get where you need to be. It's not something that's going to come in the palm of your hand. It's just going to be gifted to you. Everything comes with hard work. And the amount of hard work you put into it will be the outcome of the work. I think a lot of people nowadays think that everything's just handed to them for free and that it's just simple. No, it's not. It's not like that. It's a lot of hard work that you have to do. So I 100% agree with you. Um, Referring to small businesses, what's been the biggest mistake that you've seen when from small businesses when they're trying to scale their technology and trying to maybe try to do something similar to that? What's been one of the huge mistakes you've seen?
A lot of them are doing it on their own. So they're outsourcing it to like just trying ChatGPT, figuring it out. I have to caution this because right now our LLMs are still not great. You still need um, an architect essentially to build these systems. So one of the things I have found is either they're not even looking at technology as a scaling process. So they're still on the old scaling laws of people. They don't even have websites in most cases, and working off of Facebook. They're still working on the traditional laws of scaling based off of 20-year business, which works for their little community. But if they plan to scale bigger and if they want to compete with the big guys, they really do need to start looking at tech as their savior because they don't even know what's possible. Um, this is the thing that everybody has been spouting with AI right now is, oh, we're gonna have this utopia, this grand thing. You're gonna be able to say, hey, I want this, and it'll have it. We're not there yet. We need people like me and people who are exploring and learning as it goes to be able to build it in the way that people are understanding, right? Um, the other thing I worry about is they're just going to pass away. Like, sorry, I kind of lost track on there. Can you rephrase or can you say the question again? I kind of got off tangent.
It's one of the what was one of the biggest mistakes that small businesses make when they're trying to scale their technology?
Yeah, just not relying on the new technology. They're still scaling on old rules. Now, I will say this as a caveat to old business more than new business. So there's a tons of small business out there run by um, the older generation. Anybody new getting into this is most likely going to start as like coming in and tech operating. Like I know there's a big shift around buying businesses right now in the US. And what people do right now is they'll come in and they'll buy the business and then build tech on top of that business to be able to scale up. So there's two caveats or two distinct groups there, and it really depends on which group you're targeting. But either way, when you're integrating technology into your regular flows and your how you do things, AI can only help you so far if you don't know how AI works. Do you know what I mean? Um,
Hmm.
and avoiding tech altogether is a completely different issue because you're just gonna go away with time. There's so much opportunity for small business to make a big impact in the world right now. It doesn't make sense to not jump on it with full intention and to try and milk it for all it's worth. Because it's going to be a different time. We're going to experience a different time of business in the next 5 to 10 years. And I guarantee you small and medium-sized businesses are going to come out on top.
Do you see businesses relying on AI a little too much?
Very much. Especially when they haven't fully formed out an idea. So a lot of right now, I see people implementing chatbots into their services, and you saw what happened to Chevrolet when they did that. They ended up giving away free cars. So they're not taking like proper look at what they need for their service, if they even need a chatbot. Um, what you need. My starting goal when I go into a business and analyze what their actual problem is I go to the CEO and say, if you have a magic wand, what is one thing you wish could go away? That question right there identifies the problem spot that the CEO thinks is an issue. At that point, you then go ask the rest of the company, hey, like, do you think this is an issue? And you source out the company as your guide to what really is the need. And you're building the smallest piece of tech imaginable. You're not building this big application. You're starting with the smallest piece that could help in the most minimal way that saves 5, 10 hours a week. And then you build from there. Um, don't bite off more than you can chew. Start with the golden nugget. And the golden nugget is that thing you cannot live without. If you were to build it, like, trying to think of an application. So I was working, I came in to consult with my local auto shop. And they have a problem where they don't have a website. People just come in and uh, book their car appointments in person through the mechanics. So they'll go into the bay and talk to the individual mechanics and they'll write them down in their books. But at the end of the day, the front desk doesn't know who's coming in where when it's coming from, what orders they need to fill, like that kind of information. And I just looked at them and I'm like, okay, what what would help you in this situation? What would alleviate your problems? And they're like, if we could just get the mechanics to stop taking calls and stop scheduling and come through the front desk. And I said, well, you're not really going to have that because you got to lock the front door. You got to lock the bays. And are they going to enjoy that? They said no. And I'm like, okay, how can I alleviate this in a way that they're going to understand? They're like, no tech. No tech. How do I build something that coordinates with no tech. And I asked them, I'm like, do you guys all have phones? Cell phones? And they're like, yes. Are you all capable of recording a voice message? Yes. So I built them a small app that basically uses AI and it records a message on the mechanic's phone that takes in the details of who they're servicing, when they're servicing, what parts they need, and anything that they need. And it just sends an email to the front desk. Nothing major, nothing insane, but saves them so much work. I'm talking probably about 40 hours of work a week just trying to track down everything. You need to look at your business though. How do I cut out the management part of my job? How do I only do the fun parts? And that's where it gets weird.
AI has such a huge impact on how we are now. What are some positive things that you see AI giving to businesses, whether it's a small business or a huge multi-million dollar business with a huge chain? What's some positives about what AI can do?
It can be your friend. It can be your business consultant. It can be your marketing consultant. It can be your sales manager. It can be your content creator. It can be everything you are not. It is going to empower so many individuals at a level we can't comprehend. I think the major impact to AI for big and small is just going to be context of your life, context of who you are. Um, I think this is honestly the precursor to really mapping out the mind and mapping out who people are, to eventually become some sort of immortal being or some sort of collective knowledge repository, something in the future. We just don't know what that is yet, but there's so many ways it can benefit humanity. It's just a matter of perspective and the path we take. We're not set in stone. We have about a 5 year period where we're going to go through some weird shit, things that nobody's going to anticipate, nobody's going to understand, and everybody's not going to like. But on the other side, if we navigate this in a way that helps us understand others and helps us connect to people, I think we'll be better. I don't see AI as anything more than a tool to give people freedom, to give people knowledge, to give people the ability to action. Um, it's just another tool as a computer, as a phone. It's just a lot more complex and a lot more knowledge based as opposed to what we have seen in the past.
You've been in the government system for a long time. What did 8 years in government teach you about building reliable systems?
Don't build for the government if you want a reliable system. No, in all seriousness, always taking a new approach to every system. When when I was building for the government, the one thing that I was excited about was I got custom dev. So I got to build the applications that weren't out of the box. They weren't something you had to configure. They were just, hey, let's build this for the public. Let's build this because we need it. Um, the greatest takeaway is building for need, not for um, marking any checkbox or anything like that. Like when it comes to needing something, they are really good at jumping on. But again, they're not the best at building it. They're the best at starting it and then being like, okay, here it is, and it's a shit show. But at least they tried, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think that to me that makes a little bit of sense.
My main issue with government is they don't want to change. They're the same. They want to keep the same. It's just bloat for the sake of bloat. And I get ticked off because I spent 10 years there trying to make change, trying to push for change in our system,
Mhm.
only to find out that there's no way. There's absolutely no way from somebody inside the system to work their way up to fix the system. Unfortunately, the only way the system changes is through public scrutiny, through public outcry, and through business um, lobbying against things. And that's unfortunately how our system goes.
Yeah, you know, I don't know how Canada is either about the government, but I think everyone, even worldwide, that even doesn't live in Canada or the United States, like Europe and Australia and probably some other places, they generally know the US's government. It's like how you kind of said it was is a shit show. It's it's just kind of gone into shambles. It's it's something that I don't like talking about on here as much because once I hear say government, here
Yeah.
people come talking, and it's hard because I think our government has a lot needs change as well. And I'm pretty sure people outside the country can see that and can even have that own opinion as well. Um, my thing with government is I think a lot more younger people need to be in there. It We need people that are probably well, I would say my age, but then that could probably lead to disaster. I think we just need like a younger generation in there because
The,
it's
the the issue isn't the younger generation, it's those at the top. So we need to also replace the management structure and the people at the top of the structure. We can see change through bringing in people who want change. But the problem is the structure set in place. There's no way to move up being against the system, unless you have mass people trying to be against the system. And most people check out of politics long before that, right? Um, that's kind of been my takeaway. So the reason I talk a lot about politics is my background, but Canada's politics are heavily ingrained in their business, um, because of our carbon negative stuff, all of our regulations around infrastructure. Like, it's hard for Canadian business to not talk about Canadian politics because it heavily coincides with each other. The nice part about the States is you have a entrepreneurial undertones where you're always trying to build people up and get them to try and better the system, better technology, better things. Whereas Canada kind of stagnates and it's like, oh no, we need the same because if it's the same, we're good. We don't need to do anything. And it's like, okay, we've had the same for too long, and this is what the result is our less GDP, more talks about business in politics where it shouldn't be, that kind of thing. But I do like that's my channel. Like I talk about that on my channel as well. It's one of the other reasons I'm the weird Canadian is I like to talk about that politics side of things on my channel and how ridiculous things are in that domain. But for anybody listening that's like a small business and like is looking for the best insight I can give them on tech and AI, if you're afraid, use it in your everyday life. Find something you do every day. Maybe it's like text somebody or email somebody or even paying your bills. Like you could actually do that through some AIs now. You can actually pay your bills. Um, be careful with those, but these are the technologies that are coming out. Try and incorporate it into your daily life in something that you just see as, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I can automate this. Let ChatGPT do. Those little mechanisms are going to grow on you. And as you start using it, you're going to find new ways and new instances. Like every day, I'm finding out something new I can do with AI.
Mhm.
And I'm in the space. Like I thought I know everything that can, but every day it's giving me new insight. It's giving me like my biggest fun part about this. I love AI because it makes me feel like a wizard. Um, I've been building these applications for a decade now, and my problem has always been I'm too slow on a keyboard. My ideas come out too fast than my fingers can type. One of my biggest issues is not being able to just be able to talk into it and say what I need to build. I'm able to do that now. So I've increased my production speed. Uh, for a basic website, I used to spend about 9 months to a year um, for a custom website, like based on what they need. If there's some integrated system, some back end for them to like manage, take me about 6 months to a year, and now I can build that out in 2 weeks. So imagine if you can learn, if you can teach that GPT in your domain, how much time you can save on what you do. Like not even taking my specialization. Like let's take into a mechanic. Hey, you have a car come into your shop. What's the car? What's the make? What's the model? What's the issue with it? Throw that into ChatGPT and ask it to diagnose. Maybe you can outsource your diagnosing to ChatGPT and all you'll have to do is to replace it. How much time will that spend? Like, how much time did that save? Because when you take mechanics into a thing, there's a whole book stating how long things should take in terms of diagnosis time, replacement time. You can look into the book and see how much time you'd save just by taking out the diagnosis time on each job. Little things that make your life easy.
It's always funny when I hear ChatGPT has become such a huge thing now because I AI kind of just blew up like 2 or 3 years ago. When I went off to college, I went to Auburn, and that's kind of when it blew up. It was kind of like when I first transferred schools from my small community college to Auburn. This is when it blew up. I didn't know about ChatGPT. I didn't know any of this stuff before going there. And you'd always would hear stories from teachers that said, "Oh, ChatGPT is nothing but inconsiderate or like inaccurate information that they pull. That it's a bad idea to use ChatGPT. It's cheating people. It's just a useless tool." But yet, I've met people like you, and I've also have seen other people that use this for businesses that grow on here. Like, I think there was someone that I saw just like from a profile on here that had in their bio that they started. Now they had a multi-million-dollar business powered by AI, and it was all through ChatGPT. And it was
Yep.
like, I get so sick and tired of teachers that are like, "Oh, ChatGPT is nothing." It's not.
So in the early days, because I was working in government at this time when it first came out, I was excited because yes, it got things wrong, but it was so much easier to ask it. This is taking so the first use case when it came out was mostly programmers. They saw the potential in this because instead of being able to, so sorry, let me back up. The reason it was oriented more to programmers is because as a programmer, my job is to search how to fix a problem, right? In an application, how it comes to be. I've spent hours and hours and hours on Stack Overflow finding, trying to correlate my bit of code to somebody else's bit of code to try and solve a problem. When ChatGPT first came out, my searching went away completely. I never needed to go to Stack Overflow because I was able to go into ChatGPT and it was the exact same results I could do by searching through Overflow, right? It would still give me the
Mhm.
same output, the same information that I would get by going out and doing my research and trying to put it all together. But it would
Mhm.
format it for me, give me the code, and let me copy and paste it, see if it worked immediately. Save me hours just to be able to copy and paste immediately to see if it would work. That was astounding to me. Um, and yes, it got wrong. Maybe 74% of the time it was wrong, but that 26% of the time it was right. I knew how to get that right answer because I understood how to ask a question. Programmers have always been really good at how to ask the internet a question. You are directing it in a way that you're orchestrating the information. The one example that I can give here is AI is so human that people don't understand it's human. The way AI works is to knowledge, it has a, it essentially works on experience, like you or me, right? We gain experience, we understand these terms. my domain is software. I can tell you everything I know about software in all those regards, but I can also link it into real world applications to how it affects day-to-day society. This is what's called inferencing, right? So you're inferencing that an application can affect something in a completely different domain based off of the understanding between the two domains you have, right? So this app is great, right? Like it's a perfect app. But you go out to society and you're like, well, this won't work because this app only helps three people that you know of. Could be a great app for those three people, but it doesn't work in reality. And I can infer that because I know that people, like, I did research and I can understand that that's not something people want. That's all an AI does. It takes the domains it understands and then picks out where things might correlate and consume. Now, if you're able to give that little bit of overcross information to the AI, you're going to get more accurate information because you're not looking in the specific domain, you're looking in a subdomain that coexists between two of them, right? It is an aggregation of knowledge. That's all AI is. It's essentially linking every human being on the planet and saying, I can search for anything in anybody's mind, and it was going to come with an appropriate answer based off of the outcomes, what knowledge it has, what experience it has. We do the exact same thing. We determine our lives on the exact same basis. Am I going to go for a walk to increase my health, or am I going to take the car to work? That's an inference decision, right? Do I want to help my health, or do I just care about convenience? I just don't. The thing I kind of try and iterate with people is people don't understand that that's how humans are, as well as the AI. So humans are never going to be 100% accurate. However, I expect AI to become 100% accurate in the future, mainly because memory more than anything else. That is the only difference between AI and humans is the cognitive memory of the information.
It's
Sorry
always
if that was
funny
high terms.
because no, no worries on that. I use AI for everything now. What people don't know is that the podcast artwork was AI. It was completely AI generated. I am not a drawer or artist by any means. I'm not a professional artist, so I couldn't design it myself. And people always I try to get professional help. I tried reaching out to artists that would be like, hey, I have a podcast coming out, have this idea for what I want. And then they would charge high amounts of money for it. And of course, with me being in college, I didn't have the funds at the time to pay them. So was kind of in a rut. And so I went on Photoshop, and because at the time I was in a class where we had to use Photoshop, so I was starting to kind of get the general idea of how it worked. Well, I didn't know that Photoshop had this generative AI chat box. And of course, it took a few tries to get exactly what I wanted, but the end result actually came out to be. And so the whole artwork for it is actually all AI. So I don't see AI as a huge con in some aspects. Now, I think AI has room to improve, which it has improved significantly. Because when we first saw AI, you could easily point out that it was fake and that it was
Yeah.
highly, highly like obviously not real. But it's been interesting to see kind of a shift in how well it is perceived now. I mean, there's been some AI videos that look so real that you can't even tell it's fake or not.
You are
Um,
going to see Hollywood movies become individuals in their basement building out Hollywood style movies. I guarantee it in the next 3 years.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that there'll be a movie that comes out completely AI. I mean, there's people on here. Lord, I just saw like a YouTube video recently where this whole YouTube channel was AI based. The guest was the main YouTube creator was AI, and I could tell that it was AI. Well, I thought it was a real person at first, and then I looked in the comments and like, why is the person not blinking? Why are they not moving? Why are they not breathing? And it's like it was just like a single head, and it was just their mouth moving. And I thought, oh yeah, that's completely AI. But to the general public, they wouldn't have understood that. And then there's people on here that do podcasts that are completely AI ran. It's crazy how that is. And teachers will still say, "Oh, well, AI, that's just a bunch of bull. It's not going to do that." It's like until you use AI for a good purpose, I don't want to hear anything. So I'll be like, "Chat GPT that." It's like it's like now Chat
So
GPT that.
AI is progressing exponentially. So every day it is twice as better than it was yesterday.
Hmm.
It doesn't take long for that to compound into today being absolute garbage to tomorrow being, oh my God, does this exist? Um, we're like a few months away from probably seeing that level because of the exponential rate of uh, change and how good it gets. Um, but it kind of brings into perspective what's going to be left human. And I think I think we're going to have a very human society with an augmented AI for a long time. I think for about 20 to 30 years, we're going to go through a period where people are going to lose their jobs because of AI. People are going to have problems because of AI. There's going to be robots coming out. General laborers are going to go away eventually. I'm not talking 5 years, maybe 10, but they will go away. We have robots coming commercially available next year. Um, so general labor will eventually go away as well in terms of all of that. So you want to get into specifics. So anybody who likes working with their hands, get into the trades because those are going to last the longest. Anybody who's working in business right now, I always try and get them to go into the content creation space. Um, Mainly because I think a big portion of society is going to become content creators. Um, I've done I did a few analytics and reports about the change in demographics on who's watching TV over the next 5 to 10 years. And
Hmm.
YouTube is becoming the dominant player in the game in terms of taking over actual TV in the living room. If you, so I also did a deep dive into how many content creators there are, and there's actually not as many as you'd think. Right now is a good time to start a YouTube channel, start your brand, because I see a flood of people becoming creators, people trying to establish their own personal brand, people trying to create something because they have nothing else to do more than anything else. So they're going to try the avenue of YouTube, which has been so popular for so long, but it's starting to decline in terms of how you get your message out there. So I've been trying to get small businesses to actually push their brands on socials right now, because right now is the best time. There's not enough people creating, there's too many people consuming it, and if people are consuming your brand's only going to get bigger. Um, so we have about a year period, I'd say, before you start seeing a lot of people come out on YouTube. So establish your brand now.
I mean, it wouldn't make sense because a lot of the YouTubers that used to be on there have lost traction, and they have either stopped completely, they have maybe done other work on social media, and TV kind of is going away. I mean, there's not many people that do watch cable anymore. They've switched to these Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, and Paramount Plus, Peacock. I mean, all these HBO too, is all these platforms that people are flooding towards because it's a more variety type.
You can
Um,
have your own niche. You don't have to worry about. You could have a show literally just for yourself on these things, right? Like it's it's the Netflix model. Literally, it's the Netflix model on a grander scale. Netflix biggest success was being able to target niche markets. being able to throw out films that only were very good to a certain demographic, but were available to everyone. And that's kind of where we're going. So if you think about TV and movies as they were in the day, they tried to kind of whitewash them essentially, make sure they're convenient for everybody, that everybody's going to like them, so that the general public will come in and see it. So you have to have romance in an action movie because you want to bring in the romance people as well as the action people, those types of things. When you get to a market where you don't have to worry about everybody and you can start being like, oh, you like this kind of niche area, you don't need romance with your action, you only want pure action, I can serve that to you because I found 10,000 people that like this and that love this individual thing, and I can market to that 10,000 people. But I could also put on a video or a movie that goes beyond boundaries and does them both and brings in a whole new market. And now we're in the stage of any individual can do this. Any person on YouTube can create the variety and hit the markets that are so niche, nobody's creating for them. One of the biggest things that I have to give it to anime. They are the ones that broke the market because I remember going to the sketchy pawn shop to buy my bootleg DVDs to watch my anime in crappy dub when I was like 12 or 13 years old, and now it's free on the internet.
Mm.
This is what happens when a niche market gets to develop and grow and become something bigger. It's now a mainstream art item. Same with sci-fi in terms of Star Trek and Stranger Things and all these like if you get enough people to enjoy if you build something niche enough that niche people enjoy it, eventually your niche grows because more people are going to come to understand and enjoy it. And we are now going into a time where anybody can create any piece of content for any niche, in any terms, in any medium as well. So this is the other concept I'm getting into. We have more mediums than ever before. We have vision, hearing, spoken thought. We now have a thought interface. Like things we now have so many different ways of feeding creative and consuming creative. We haven't even touched the boundaries of what's out there. Uh, I have so many scripts in my head that I'm now starting to get ChatGPT to write out for sci-fi movies and TV shows. I'm planning on building my own media company one day, and I want to release these shows to the public because I want to see them. Do you know how the biggest movies get made? They're made by people who want to see them. People who are just showcasing their talent and showcasing that it's something that they want to see. Like if you ask any producer out there or any director, they're editing it because they want to see it. They want to see that dream, that storyline told. Um, and that's all I want to do. I want to see those storylines that got ripped up and thrown away. We won't have cancel culture in terms of TV anymore. You won't have a TV show get cut from the air because of money or anything else anymore because the people working on the project are going to be generally happy at building the project regardless of their compensation. But they're going to, if they build something that is great for everybody, their compensation is going to be insane. This is how Hollywood was founded. People taking a chance on a creative idea and building it up. And that's how people got rich. We're just back to that same model of, okay, throw a dart at the wall and see what sticks.
Absolutely. I think that this is an important thing for people to know about because it's, I think a lot of small businesses are suffering now because of how hard it is trying to get in the world of finance and business because it's a competition. And a lot of people tend to find that as a problem. To kind of wrap things up here a little bit, if people, and I'm not a professional at this, I don't know anything about businesses and finance. If someone is out there that's listening and they know someone that has a small business or they're trying to get a small business for themselves and they have questions, what is the best way that they could kind of maybe, if they have questions, get in contact with you and reach out to you and have these questions answered and also kind of learn more about what you do for just kind of have for it advice.
My primary page is just theweirdcanadian.ca. Although, if you search up the Weird Canadian anywhere, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty much the top results on everything. So anywhere you can message me, or anywhere you can find me, you'll find me. Message me. I try and get back to everybody I can. Um, the one thing I want to leave people thinking about is really dive into who you are, become honest, become authentic, showcase who you are and how you're different. People don't want a business that doesn't have a human there anymore. They don't want that big business anymore. They want the human connection. They want the authenticity. They want you to showcase who you are. So just do it. It's the best way to build your brand is the more people who get out there and just showcase who they are, showcase their brand and show how they want to help. I think they're going to succeed better than anybody else in the market because they're doing it from a place of their heart more than anything else.
Well, I think that's well spoken, and for people that don't be afraid to reach out to him and also ask questions because he's real knowledgeable
I
about
also
this
offer a
topic.
free consultation to see if you actually need a retrofit or anything as well. So if anybody wants to reach out to get a free consultation, I'm available as well.
I'll put all his links in the description below as well. Put his podcast. I'll also put his podcast down there as well. It's The Weird Canadian, which is available where you get your podcast from. I'll also put his website and social media platforms down there as well, so it's easy access for you to find. For You can also follow me on social media as well, Instagram and TikTok. Lethal Venom Podcast on there. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. It's Noah's Podcast. And as always, listen to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. It's on all the major platforms: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Pandora. It's everywhere. So feel free to subscribe to where you can get notifications for when new episodes come out. Thank you to everyone who tuned in today to listen in to today's episode. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you all and see you all in the next episode of Lethal Venom.